Hi, I'm Sandy from Parkerlings.com. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be making lasagna. Lasagna for us is a special dish. We only really have it once in a very great while, but it's come up on the weekly meal plan, and as it's our anniversary today, we decided to go ahead and rather than going out to eat, we're having a special meal here at home. So come along with me as we cook and enjoy seeing our lasagna. The first step in lasagna is to brown our ground beef and make the red sauce. I'm going to be using store-bought white sauce just for quickness, and that will then, the red sauce, the white sauce, noodles, and cheese will then be the layers of our lasagna. So to start with the ground beef, I have heated my frying pan and I've got a little bit of oil in the pan. I happen to just be using the residual oil from the last meal that we cooked, but it would be about a teaspoon or so of oil, just because the first thing that we do when we're browning the meat is to add our onions. So that will be my first step. I'm adding 2 red onions. They were small red onions, and they've been minced. I'm just keeping these onions on the bottom of the pan to fry off a little bit before adding my meat. The onions have been frying for a minute or two. I'm now going to add my ground beef. I'm using 750 grams of ground beef, which is 1.5 pounds. While this is browning, let me talk to you about preparation for cooking lasagna. Before we started filming, my sous chef Phil chopped the onions that you've seen me put in. He also chopped up mushrooms, which I'll be adding shortly. This was 5 or 6 button mushrooms. He also chopped up some celery for me, which I'm going to put into the mix right now. Normally I would have put that in with the onions to cook at the same time as the onions. Stir the browning meat occasionally to keep it browning on all sides. Depending on the fattiness of your ground beef, you will start to get juices forming in the pan. You will have to decide for yourself whether those juices are going to make your final sauce too juicy, and go ahead and remove some of the sauce if you feel it's needed. My meat was not as lean as it normally is, so I will probably go ahead and remove some of those juices. But I'll wait and do that after I've added the mushrooms. My meat is smelling delicious, and I have to say one of the key reasons why I have not removed the juice before putting in the mushrooms is because the juice is very flavorful and the mushrooms help to soak it up. Now I'm going to add some minced garlic. We use this store-bought minced garlic. And I'm adding about a tablespoon. I really like garlic. Okay, while I was cooking down the meat, the camera stopped recording. Sorry about that. What I wanted to show you is that this is the remaining liquid in the pan. There's very little, so I'm not going to have, because I've let it cook down well enough, I'm not going to have to take any of it out, and I will just continue to use it as extra moisture and flavor with my tomato sauce. So the next step is to add the tomato sauce. I'm adding homemade tomato sauce that we canned last year. If I can open it. Sous chef. Can you open this can for me? Come over here.
What do I want to do that for? There you go.
Can you do the other one as well?
I'm not sure. Soon find out. Turns out yes. Should we try the third one?
Sure. We'll need that later.
Who knows? Oh, look at that.
Thank you.
I proved useful today.
So, where was I? Tomato sauce. Yeah, we're using pre-canned tomato sauce that we canned last year from our own back garden. It has, the wonderful thing about our tomato sauce is that it contains cocoa, which gives it a real rich umami flavor. I'm big into the umami. Now, I had 750 grams of ground beef. I'm stirring in, I'm on a real low, my lowest possible burner setting, and I'm just stirring in the tomato sauce. You can see that it's pretty thick. Let me zoom in a bit for you. It's pretty thick, and so it's just a matter of getting it all mixed in and then deciding whether I want a second one or not. And I think I definitely do want the second one. Frankly, with as thick as our tomato sauce was, I'm really glad that I didn't get rid of that extra moisture from the ground beef. This now has a real good consistency though. It's not going to be it's not too wet. I'm a frugal chef, and so I'm going to clean out my jars with a little bit of water. I added about 2 tablespoons of water. I stirred it up, I mixed it up in the first jar, and now I'm mixing it in the second jar. Now I'll give this a final mix through so that it's all heated through. I'm going to let that bubble up. And then we'll move on to step 2, which is layering up the lasagna. I have a 9x13 pan that I have sprayed with nonstick cooking spray, and I have preheated my oven to 180 degrees Celsius, which is about 350 Fahrenheit. I've got a ladle, and my first step in my first layer in the pan will be the red sauce. So I'm going to take about half of the red sauce that I made and layer it on the bottom of the pan. My next layer is going to be lasagna noodles. I don't cook my lasagna noodles ahead of time. I find that there's enough moisture in my lasagna that I don't need to do that. And in my 9x13 pan, I can fit about 6 sheets of lasagna in the layer, overlapping ever so slightly. I get 4 one direction and then 2 the alternative direction, and they are overlapped, as you can see. I push them down so that they are in good contact with the layer below. And my next step is to add half of my white sauce. Now, I am just using store-bought white sauce because it's a midweek meal. You're welcome to make your own bechamel sauce. There are recipes online for that. I've just always found it easier to go with store-bought. So I'm plopping in about half of the jar, and then I'll use a spatula to spread it over the noodles. And this is a relatively thin layer, as you can probably see. And next I'm going to add some cheese. Now this is just grated cheddar cheese. You can use mozzarella. You could use a combination of a bunch. You could use red Leicester. This is mild cheddar. You could use mature cheddar. You know, really whatever cheese you want. And you could add Parmesan. You could add Parmesan too. Phil isn't really a lover of Parmesan, so we tend not to use it too much. Or I use it separate to the main dish, because I do like it. Now I'm going to add another layer of lasagna noodles. And again, that's 6. And then the next layer of sauce to cover that. And you want to be sure that you get the juice, because the juice is what helps to cook the lasagna noodles throughout. Now, if you've got too much sauce, you might decide that you need to make a further smaller pan of lasagna as well. I'm going to try to get it all fit into this one 9x13-inch pan. Okay, you want to finish. This is then your final layer with the other half of the red sauce. Another layer of lasagna noodles. And the final layer you want is the white sauce and cheese. Now, one of the things that I do to make sure that I've got enough white sauce is that I will clean out the jar with a bit of milk. Not too much milk, because you don't want to make it too juicy. Make sure your lid's on well. Give it a good shake. And then you can just pour it onto the layer. This is also a good recipe if you need to clear out your cupboard of some jars. So today, Phil and I are celebrating 21 years of marriage. Hard to believe that we've been married nearly as long as we've been, nearly half of our lives. 2 years, it'll be half of our lives. And we're very happy. I'm going to put on a little bit of spice. I'm adding a tiny bit, hopefully I won't make the same mistake I made on the chicken and leek, in terms of nutmeg. You'll see what I'm doing here is I'm sticking my finger in and then just sprinkling to avoid adding too much. Once bitten, twice shy, they say. I'm also going to add some of the garlic spread, which has the Parmesan, grated Parmesan cheese, along with other spices. That's just a sprinkle of that. And the oregano I'm going to put on top of the cheese so that that can be seen. Sous chef, could you make me some more, grate me some more cheese, please?
Cheesy, cheesy, cheesy.
So, my last layer is the cheese layer. I started and then kind of ran out, so we've grated up a bit more. I'm just going to add that to the top. Nice cheese layer is really good for the top of the lasagna. And getting it all the way to the edges as much as possible. Although knowing that the edges are probably going to boil over, it's not essential. And the final thing then, as I said, is oregano, which I sprinkle over the top to give it a good Italian flavor. There you go. That is our lasagna all layered up and ready to put in the oven. I will cook this at the 180 degrees in the preheated oven for about half an hour, and then at the half-hour mark we will put in cheesy garlic bread to be able to accompany the meal. So in total it will cook for about 45 minutes. So off we go, and we'll be back in 45 minutes to show you the finished product. Okay, let's cut up the garlic bread, which we just cut into triangles using a pizza cutter. And then we will cut and serve the lasagna. So now we're going to plate up. We've been Sandy and Phil. I hope that you enjoyed coming along as we made our anniversary meal of lasagna, garlic bread, and salad. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe. We'll see you again soon. Bon appetit!